Hi and welcome to Eddy's Beach Shack. Today we are going to be talking about dividend irrelevance theory. So dividend irrelevance theory talks about how we should value shares within a company. It looks at how the company is valued by the market and whether we should include dividend income and whether we should just include capital value. So we're going to have a look as to whether the dividends that are paid out by the company have an impact on the market value of the shares. So does dividend policy have an impact on the actual capital value? Now, dividend irrelevance theory suggests that if a company has got $100 worth of profit one year, that $100 worth of profit should increase the overall value of the company by $100. If the company decides to pay out $10 as a dividend, that $10 which is paid out now ends up as income in my pause, and that now means that the increase in value of the company will not be $100, it will now only be $90. So dividend irrelevance theory suggests that the market understands completely that the amount of money that I'm reinvesting into the business is not being paid out as a dividend. Therefore, that should increase the capital value of the business and therefore increase the market value of my shares. And that any type of money paid out as a dividend now means that me as a shareholder, I receive the cash immediately. That now means that the capital value of my shares should diminish by the same amount. This has got a huge assumption behind it. And what this now means is dividend policy doesn't have a huge effect on the share price. So that now means that the only effect that dividend policy will have on the share price is the amount of dividends I pay out will diminish the capital value. That means that me as a shareholder, I will be indifferent between receiving dividends now or receiving dividends in the future, because any money that I don't receive now should now be paid out as a bigger dividend in the future. So if I have the choice between a dividend of $10 now or $11 in 1 year's time, I should be indifferent between those two amounts. Now, this only works, so this will only work if the market has got informational efficiency. And informational efficiency is one of the aspects that we look at within a different one of our little 3-minute blogs. And what we're looking at here is we say that we assume that the market is efficient because the market understands that me not paying out $10 today means that I can pay out $11 in the future. So the market knows that me not paying out $10 today means that I can pay out $11 in the future. Wow, that's an amazing idea. Absolutely love that, as long as it works. So as long as it works. There are other assumptions surrounding dividend irrelevance theory. And it's not just the fact that the market is efficient, it's the fact that shareholders know what's going on as well. So the market needs to be informationally efficient and shareholders have to have tapped in to that informational efficiency. That's actually quite hard because the vast majority of shareholders don't get the same level of information that markets will get and that the brokers within those markets will get. Also, if we have $100 worth of profits effectively, that now means that I'm going to be indifferent between receiving that money now or in the future. But if I need the money now, what I can do is I can sell $10 worth of the capital value of my shares to get $10 in my grubby paws now. That means I'd be indifferent between having $10 now in terms of selling shares or having $10 in terms of dividends. That only works if there's no transaction costs. We know there are transaction costs. There are always going to be brokerage costs. Brokers have still got to make a living as well as you and I, so they charge a fee for performing those types of services. Also, there'd have to be a lack of tax distortions. Now, depending upon what jurisdiction you're listening to me from, there will be a capital gains tax charge on capital transactions. There may be an income tax charge on dividend transactions. The percentage rates may be different. Your different annual exempt amounts or your tax-free amounts, they may be different. That now means that I do have a preference to having an income return or potentially a capital return. It all depends. And the other big assumption is because the market is fully efficient and everybody understands exactly how this works, the market will now vary according to this specific model. That sounds wonderful, Ed. Does it work? Of course it doesn't. So this doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because dividend policy has got more value in it rather than just paying out cash. Dividend policy is seen as a communication method by companies which tells the market what's going on in the past and what's going to happen in the future. So we do have this additional communication value. The issue with that now is if we see dividends increasing by 10% for whatever reason, the market now thinks, oh, that's increased by 10%. Capital value must now go up by 10% as well. So if you pay out a bigger dividend, the value of the capital goes up by that same percentage. In fact, the markets think that because you've increased dividends by 10%, you might increase them by more than 10% next year. So let's overreact. So the markets overreact, which means the capital value increases by more than 10%. Brilliant. We've already talked about the idea of brokerage costs distorting the gains that you make from capital gains or from income gains. The other big issue here is all about risk. Cash now has got no risk. If I've got cash in my grubby paws now, I don't have to worry about getting it in the future. So cash now at $10 is worth more to me than cash at $11 in 1 year's time, even with a discount rate of 10%, because there's no risk, there's no uncertainty. Tax issues will also have a distortion effect on this, and tax issues can be significant because you can have a tax charge as high as 90% depending upon the jurisdiction that you're in and depending upon whether you get out income or capital. That 90% means I've basically eliminated all of my gain, so all of the amount of return I'm going to generate. So the overall rule of thumb is dividend irrelevance theory. It sounds wonderful in theory, but dividend policy will definitely have an impact on share price. And it definitely has an impact on share price primarily because of the communication value within dividend policy. So when companies think that they're doing well, they bump the dividends up. That's them saying to the market, hey guys, we're doing well. Increase the market value of my shares, and vice versa. So dividend policy has a huge communication value. That brings us up to the end of this little 3-minute blog. Thank you very much for your time and attention, guys. I'll see you all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on the next one. Thank you very much, and I'll see you